Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope and you bang your head on the ring apron. Why do you do that? That's when you feel like a big dope. And they're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for that hot tag. Then you go ahead and make your own comeback. Knock it off. That's when you should quit wrestling and you're better off rolling the thumbtacks. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Clap, 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 clap. The hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba da ba da. Whoa, yay! What's going on, Bob Squad? We are bushwhacking our way through another episode of the hardest part of the ring. Episode 195. 200 is close. Thanks so much for joining me, Bob Squad. We are talking about the WWE Raw Hulu edition. Hulu edition. Not enough commercial interruptions on February 6th of 2023. What about it? Well, I'm a little late. I was out of town for a little bit. But now we are going to talk about this wrestling episode as we are on our road to WrestleMania and also the road to the Elimination Chamber, the most cursed premier live event of the year. This poor chamber show. You want something to happen because I still say pay per view, it's going to take a while. It's a big show and you want something to happen on it, but also because it's the one before WrestleMania, nothing can actually happen on it because you have to wait for WrestleMania. So no fan ever likes this show every year. It's always a letdown. Sorry to say, but it is what it is. I am what I am and what I am at the end of the day. Like it or not, win, lose, or draw, cross your eyes and dye your teeth. Just being the best Bob I can be, if you know what I mean. Anyway, you slice it, and I think that you don't. Doing stuff and saying things. The show opens with Hulk Hogan slamming onto the Giant, as it tends to. Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix, both WWE Hall of Famers, the Rated R Superstar and the Glamazon, are. Well, Edge is running around. He has overdone the running around and bopping up and down and running to various audience members on this, members of the universe on the side. And you can almost kind of see Beth rolling her eyes because I think it's a little bit of a rib. He's clearly overdoing it just to kind of get on her nerves. You can see her smirk a few times when she gets to the ring, and she's just standing there. And he also patted her behind. That is his wife's behind that he patted with his hand. And she said, "Stop it," at one point, which was kind of amusing. So that was the whole thing. And Edge and Beth talk about they have to replay a video package from stuff that happened 5 months ago because nobody. Pardon me, I need some water. I need some water. Some hydration to prevent fatigue and headaches. Hang on. Pardon me, that is good water. So they are very upset at the Judgment Day with a nice video package to remind us why, because this happened a long time ago. And at the Royal Rumble, Edge took a bunch of them out, but he didn't get Dominic out. And they fought, and Beth speared Rhea, and they didn't mention that Rhea went on to win the Rumble anyway. Rhea Ripley was not on this show. Might have hurt the segment a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe we need to make us want to see Beth and Rhea just a little bit more. Doesn't look like a Beth and Rhea singles match is that might happen on Raw someday. You never know. But anyway, what happened? Oh, the Judgment Day arrives, and they don't like Beth and Edge not liking them, so that's convenient. And there's a big brouhaha, a scuffle, a Donnybrook, a Pier 6 brawl, if you will. And Beth Phoenix hits her glam slam on Dominic. This was wonderful. Not just because she hits him in a move, but as he's up in the air, he yells, "Ah!" and "Mommy!" right before she hits him, he takes the bump. And that, little things add to it. So, that was our well done, but of course, there's supposed to be an Angelo Dawkins Damian Priest match, and Damian Priest is part of this Judgment Day. So Dawkins and then Montez Ford had come out to help the good guys because Beth and Edge were cornered by the whatever the Judgment Day at some point. Adam Pearce has to show up and earn his paycheck, so he says, "Hey, everyone get out of here except the two guys who are in a match. So we can go to a commercial and have that match." And we went to a commercial and we had that match. Not a little enough commercial interruption. The match was between Damian Priest and Angelo Dawkins, who He's been wrestling without his shirt on for like 2 months, and every week he looks more and more like a guy who shouldn't wrestle with his shirt on. You could tell he was just a little too eager to get that thing off. Like he could have waited 2 more weeks. But he looks great, and he wrestles great. Montez also has a singles match later on. Um, I'm interested a little bit with what's going on with the Street Profits because they're not doing the traditional boring breakup. One of them turns on the other for no reason, and then one of them ends up doing something the other one doesn't. It's very much what they did with the Hart Foundation in '89. Jim Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart just started wrestling singles matches, but they never broke up. They were both good guys. They were still part of a tag team, and you still saw them tag, but you saw them do a lot of singles matches too. In the 1989 Survivor Series, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart were on separate teams. They were both on different good guy teams. And then in 1990, they just picked up team again. They were just trying it, and it was interesting. And I think it let fans get to know each guy individually. And I'm sure, even though like in those days, 2 years felt like a lifetime, and these days, 2 years goes by, you don't even know if it's been 2 years or 2 weeks because like everything looks the same. But '89 WWF TV doesn't look like 1991 TV, which doesn't look like '93 TV or '95 TV or '97, and so on and so on. Like every year or two, like you can clearly, if you were a fan then, you could clearly tell what year it is within seconds. You go, oh, that's '88. Oh, that's '87. They didn't use that graphic for too long, and why is that guy wearing a green sports coat? So I trailed off. Angelo Dawkins has a good match, a good back and forth match with Damian Priest, which Damian Priest won, but Angelo Dawkins was very competitive with the Judgment Day guy. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. No complaints there. Oh, yeah, and the winner of this contest, the reason they're wrestling is the winner gets to be one of the guys in the Elimination Chamber. At Elimination Chamber. And Austin Theory's in it. He's the U.S. champ. I think he's defending the title in the chamber. Am I wrong? I might be wrong. Maybe the winner gets something else. They weren't really clear. They have commentary on it later with Austin Theory, and I still wasn't clear. I think it's just because why does he sound happy to defend his title against five guys in a big chamber thing? I really don't know. I don't quite understand it. Unless it's really not for the title and I just misunderstood. It should be clear though. I'm paying attention. I have notes. You hear that? Those are notes. Byron Saxton has a microphone and Becky Lynch has a plan. Good for her and good for him. Cowboy Brock Lesnar says good evening and takes his hat off. And then he implies that him and his wife have sex for 4 or 5 hours at a time. I'm not kidding. Bobby Lashley comes out. He is very well dressed, and he's a bad guy again this week for some reason. And Lesnar gives him a contract for them to wrestle at Elimination Chamber. Lashley kind of says something that about his agents and lawyers looking it over. And Cowboy Brock Lesnar hits not one but two F5s on Lashley. So Lashley just took two of Brock's finish. I don't know where this is going. What's the point? So if they do the thing at Chamber, what are they doing at Mania? Both of them are doing something. Is Gunther involved? Are they going to really do Gunther and Brock after all? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It is a four-way women's match. And again, this is the Hulu edition. The Hulu edition. So if I'm skipping matches, this is what aired on Hulu. I'm pretty sure that Asuka versus Chelsea Green did not air on Hulu. Usually a women's match that's not for the title or with main eventers never makes Hulu. And I think they've done away with the 24/7, but that stuff never made Hulu. And for like a couple of years, the WWF Raw Men's, oh geez, that sounds weird. The Raw Men Tag Champions, they never made Hulu either, whoever they were. So, what could I tell you? It's Piper Niven versus Candice LeRae, whose hair is light purple. Mia Yim, whose hair is dark blue. Carmella makes her return, and her hair is brown now. So everyone's got new hair, and Piper Niven has a new old name. Carmella wins this. Uh, Carmella did a lot of the old stuff. She looks better than ever. I always liked the brunette hair. This is a lighter brown, and Always in great shape, of course. Let's be respectful here, but a fit woman, if you will. And when she does her Staten Island thing, she's got her attitude and this, that, and the other thing, and it works. I'm gonna nitpick Carmella a bit. Again, she hasn't wrestled in a long time, so I want to leave her not be too hard on her. But she has that post NXT. There's an NXT women's class or a generation right after the Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, Sasha group. There was an Iconics, Alexa Bliss, Carmella type of group around that time who insist, Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, yada yada, Mandy Rose, who insist on over the top freaking out and screeching whenever they get a 2 count on someone. There was that habit, and Bailey and Sasha passed on that terrible Scooby Doo cover habit where you cover someone, your back is on their torso, so you're facing upward, and you kick your feet around and slip it up. You're like Scooby Doo trying to start running, but he always skids around first. They would always do that. Sasha and Bailey, and they both got out of it, but everyone picked it up from them. It was very annoying. But the other one is, and the Iconics used to do it horrendously, was the over the top disbelief that you got a 2 count after a basic maneuver or what have you. I understand, yes, you want to beef with the ref and yada yada yada, but it was just such it would be such a long dramatic over the top. You could hear people laughing. They're not taking a match seriously because the overacting was bad. So that's my nitpick on Carmella. Um, Mia Yim is a great athlete. Candice LeRae is very athletic as well. Not big at all. Piper Niven basically dominated the match. She threw her weight around and bulldozed everyone generally. And there was some kind of screwy finish where, of course, Carmella pinned Candice. I think Piper hit something on canvas, and Carmella did the all shove Piper out of the ring and get the quick pin, which is a fine. It's maybe overused for these matches, but what else are you going to do? And how else would somebody win this? So Carmella means that means she is in the women's elimination chamber, and the winner wrestles probably Bianca at WrestleMania. That would make the most sense to me. Oh, this next segment. Cody Rhodes has a burgundy suit and blonde hair and some kind of weird chain going from his vest to his. I don't know what he's wearing. He looks good though. He pulls it off. They have to pull it off eventually. You can't wear it all day. LOL. And he gives a line. I'm not gonna goof on this or make a lot of jokes because it was masterfully done. Tons of emotion. Cody Rhodes states his purpose about wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Paul Heyman interrupts, and Paul is great here. Cody's actually got the people cheering Paul. He reminds all this inside stuff of Paul helping out Dusty Rhodes in 2000 in ECW. They mentioned Steve Corino's name on Raw in 2023. Blew my mind, and I actually hate it when they do that because I was an indie wrestler and I just know that there's some locker room of 20 guys with just as many audience members sitting on the other side of that wall, and these 20 guys now have to all clap as fucking Steve Corino walks into the locker room, which is also a kitchen, which is also a billiards hall, and they all have to pretend it was this huge, huge deal. It was a nice nod, but it was not a huge deal. But anyway, they go back and forth. They mention they allude to AEW, where Cody was causing a disruptor, and Cody shows him all the respect, and Paul Heyman shows Cody and his family all the respect, but finally ends it with the line that Dusty Rhodes, his last thing he said to Paul Heyman in their last conversation ever, was that Roman Reigns was the son he always wanted, which is bombastic. And he did the perfect thing for his character. I loved it. He didn't beat the crap out of Paul Heyman because no one really touches Paul all that much. He just got really close and did the handshake and the gimmick where he's squeezing his hand a little too hard. But Paul Heyman didn't sell it comical. He sold it like he was actually being hurt and surprised, which is good. He didn't sell it like, goofy. This is how indie heel manager thinks heel managers act, and blah blah blah. So that was great there. And Cody Rhodes just told him he made it personal or something of that sort. He hops through the ring ropes and then on the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, down to the floor and leaves Paul scared. And Tons of emotion in this. It was great. It was really really great. So I'm sure it went long and probably took time out of the cage match, ironically, for Becky and Bailey, which is why this match is happening now and not 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever that was supposed to be. We'll get there. Montez Ford wrestles Elias, who is wearing jeans. Oh, the best thing about this match is Austin Theory on commentary. He did the best job of anyone in a long time of being a heel on commentary. And he did talk for a while. Usually, I think when they do that, they let the person talk way too much and just kind of overstate it. But Austin was good. I believed him. Corey Graves was the right level of ass sucker for Austin Theory. And there was nothing wrong with this match. I like Montez showing the fire, and Montez does defeat him, Elias, with a friggity froggity spliggity splash. Oh, that's what I called it when he did it, so I'm going to keep calling it. Montez Ford hit the friggity froggity spliggity splash daddy with the 1, 2, 3. Montez Ford is going to be in that Elimination Chamber match. Similar to Dawkins, people were behind him on his own. Like, they were fine with it. So I just think it's interesting. It's something different. And whenever they team again, it might be a bigger deal. Like, oh, we needed to miss that, instead of just having them be placeholders for everyone else's storyline and filling in the blanks all the time, which is really what the Street Profits were doing. Uh, with only one tag team championship in a company, let's be honest, for a long time now, the Usos have kind of made it so that there's no tag team division because everyone knows the Usos aren't losing. So what's the point of being in a tag team right now? If it were real, why would you be in a tag team? I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. You read from 1991 Survivor Series, shortly after Ric Flair screwed Hulk Hogan, who body slammed Andre the Giant at the beginning of the show against The Undertaker in the Survivor Series 1991. And 6 years later, 6 days after that, they gave us a screwy pay-per-view called Tuesday in Texas, which was the real Survivor Series screw job, in my opinion, because everything we wanted to see was on a separate show we had to buy as well. And I would have to wait years until it was on a WWE network for $9.99 a month with original programming such as Talking Smack and a bunch of other shows. Anyway, oh yeah, so Theory stands on the announce table for no reason. Seth Rollins comes out just because he hasn't been on the show. He trips Theory, Theory falls down, and Seth Rollins, the babyface, sneak attacks the heel and does his stomping finish on the outside on the floor to the heel. Why does the babyface do his finish on the concrete floor to a heel? Because he wasn't on the show and we wanted people to go, oh, whatever the hell it is. There is a steel cage match, our main event. Our main event is Becky Lynch and Bayley. And remember earlier I said Becky Lynch, Byron Saxton has a question, and Becky Lynch said she had a plan. Well, her plan is about to be unveiled. Dakota Kai is on crutches. I don't know if she's really injured or selling the thing they had Becky do last week with Dakota's leg in a chair and all that shit. But anyway, Kai and Sky are outside and the cage is locked. And Bayley and Becky have a fine cage match. It was pretty good. Didn't change my life. I do feel like Becky and Bayley are just better when it's just them and no cage because the cage forces them to do stuff that everyone does in a cage. Whereas when it's Becky and Bayley in a ring, then they do stuff that only they do. So sometimes depending on who you are, these gimmicks don't always really help you. But I think nothing that hurt this match was I know on that Raw thing, that 30th Raw, whatever the hell it was, that's when the Kai and Sky and Bayley left Becky laying. But with the exception of that, the other 3 or 4 weeks building to this is always Becky beating the crap out of the heels. So I didn't really have a lot of sympathy on Becky. They tried to make a big deal out of Bayley mentioning Becky Lynch's husband, Seth Rollins. Segment again, back-to-back segments, just like old times. They tried to make a big deal out of Bayley mentioning that, but Bayley mentioning it didn't seem to be that. Remember, shortly after Bayley said to Seth Rollins, "You only married you because he knocked you up line or whatever." Seconds after that, Becky had dragged out Dakota Lynch, who Becky presumably beat up in the back before this promo would have taken place anyway. So are Bayley's words the biggest offense in this whole ordeal? Or is it Becky crippling people before the promos start? I don't know. I do not know the answer. But they have their match. Uh, One particular great drop kick to Bailey as Bailey is horizontal near the ring apron, as hardest part of the ring, and gets slammed into the cage. And they had a lot of fun stuff. And Bailey was jumping around and getting bounced in the cage, and Becky was firing up and firing up. Becky's in trouble. Finally, the Dakota Kai puts a crutch. She sneaks her crutch into the cage. Bailey uses it, and Becky's really and blah blah blah. Becky's trying to fight back. Becky gets to the top of the cage. This was weird when I was 9, and it is weird now. I asked the question when I was 9: why is the good guy beating up the heel in the cage and then running away? I would wonder it when it was Hulk Hogan and Big Boss Man. I would wonder it when it was the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude. And I would wonder it when it was the Ultimate Warrior and a Macho King, or Roddy Piper and Rick Rude. And I wonder today, why is then Bret Hart and Owen Hart? Why is the babyface running away? It didn't make sense when I was 9. It makes no sense now. So, but either way, that has to happen so that Becky and Io Sky of Team Kai and Sky can both sit on top of the cage and trade forearms and everything else. And Becky finally falls all the way down. And we hear Lita's music. WWE Hall of Famer Lita is there for whatever reason. A little out of the blue. Does she have a special connection with Orlando? I don't really. But they had Lita. So Lita runs out and she bounces Io Sky around and hits her finish. Second segment in a row, babyface hitting a finish on the outside. She hits her finish on the Io Sky of Kai and Sky on the floor, and then she backs Dakota off. Bailey, after all this cheating on Becky, sticks her whole upper body through the ropes right by the ring apron, hardest part of the ring, through the cage door. What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. And Lita slams the thing, which bounces into Bailey. Bailey spins around into Becky's finish. 1, 2, 3. Thanks for coming. And Lita and Becky hug for a very, very long time. Very long time. Very tender, sweet embrace. Very slow, intimate embrace with words whispered softly. Sweet nothings in one another's ear. Literally, Lita just goes, sweet nothings. It was a weird thing to whisper, but she did it. I heard it. You can see it. She's calling spots. And she is not. And that was that. We go off the air with 2 generations of redheaded WWE wrestler hugging. And that's how it was. Not bad. Not a bad show. I want to see that Chelsea Green Asuka match. So, because Asuka, since she's got new music and face paint and everything else, hasn't really been on Raw. So I want to see what she's up to. I'm a big Asuka fan. So I will check it out. That's what happened on Hardest Part of the Ring. Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. That's the most important part. Remember that. Okay, Brock Lesnar has sex for several hours. Thanks, everybody. It's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.